Of course they're going to say party pills.
Over 2 million of the legal pills are taken every year, but police say you wouldn't want to encounter a pill-fuelled driver.
I don't think we've really seen anything terribly tragic yet happen, but I think it's only a matter of time.
There's no international research on how party pills, mostly containing a cattle-worming drug called benzylpiperazine, or BZP, might impair a driver. But a Wellington researcher is about to change that.
We're going to look at their ability to perform on a driving simulator when they've taken the tablets, when they've taken alcohol at a level around the drink-drive level, and then when they've taken the combination of the two.
6 years ago, a Tongan man was acquitted after being accused of driving under the influence of kava. The judge found that kava wasn't a drug under New Zealand traffic laws. The Queenstown man will make his first appearance in court on Tuesday. Jen Nolan, One News.
East Timor's rebel leader says he's willing to lay down his weapons, but only if the country's Prime Minister resigns. In his first television interview with a New Zealand journalist, Alfredo Ronaldo denied responsibility for the violence that's gripped the country. He says all he wants is peace.
It's a journey you're told to prepare well for. A 2.5-hour drive from Dili, up long, winding, terribly potholed roads to the hills, where the so-called rebel leader is holed up in an old Portuguese hotel. Alfredo Ronaldo leads a faction of soldiers sacked by the government after they went on strike, claiming discrimination, poor pay and conditions. 5 of those soldiers were shot dead in April, sparking the violent protests that have been plaguing Dili.
What has led to the breakdown in law and order here?
Somebody must be responsible for that. And whoever they are somebody that will be taking big responsibility in the future for this, all of these things.
Who is that person?
Mari Alkatiri.
Some people say, though, that you're not innocent either, that people down in Dili are killing and wounding other people in your name.
No, that's not true. Maybe some other people, for their own interest, they can misuse anybody's name for that interest. But as long as it doesn't, anything that I didn't do it by my own hand or my man, I should not blame me for that.
Prime Minister Mari Alkatiri says Alfredo Ronaldo is a criminal, attempting to overthrow his government.
I'm not a politician to have a coup against him. I never want to be a prime minister as him, to be have a coup against him. It's not the correct way of saying it.
So you will only consider coming down from the mountains and communicating when Mari Alkatiri resigns?
Yes.
Do you think that's going to happen, though?
Even though not going to happen if he doesn't want it to, but who's most powerful in this country is the people, not the Mari Alkatiri nor anyone.
Both Mari Alkatiri and Alfredo Ronaldo have been accused of arming the gangs of youths responsible for a number of deaths and the torching of houses.
You never solve anything with violence against violence. You never solve anything with the weapon. It's not. You only by a dialogue. Everybody have the cool head and cool mind. I want this credibility of this defense to be respected. This is a lawful country that we're going to set, a democratic country. We have to respect that existing for the dignity of this nation.
It's such a different world up here in the hills. The markets are open, it's calm, people are relaxed and happy. A far cry from the violence we've seen on the streets of Dili. And it's this sense of peace that Alfredo Ronaldo says he wants to restore the entire country. Francesca Mould, One News, East Timor.
A US military investigation has cleared American troops of one alleged massacre of Iraqi civilians, as several inquiries continue into other incidents. Locals of the village of Ishaqi say the dead included 5 children and 4 women. The Pentagon says their deaths were accidental. This report contains some disturbing images.
What happened to these children, this baby and her father, as well as 7 other members of the same family? We know they all died on one day in March in the town of Ishaqi. The question is, how? Senior Iraqi police officers and eyewitnesses say that they were killed by American troops. The bodies show bullet wounds to the head and stomach. My brother and his family were assassinated by the Americans, this man said. They struck the house with their planes to hide the evidence. The Pentagon has a different story. According to its own internal inquiry, the civilians died when the roof of their house collapsed after an airstrike. US Special Forces were involved in a firefight while pursuing a supporter of Al-Qaeda hiding inside the building. Whether collateral damage or murder, something terrible clearly happened that day. The Haditha massacre, 24 dead civilians, including women and children. This was last November, and initial Pentagon reports also claim that the victims were killed in crossfire. But a new inquiry is considering criminal charges against U.S. Marines and allegations of a cover-up.
This morning, the news that criminal charges could go up the U.S. chain of command.
The latest headlines from Iraq are troubling a nation that has so far supported its troops, even if it's turning against the war they're fighting. This week, we've heard news of 3 investigations into 3 separate incidents. In the Ishaqi case, the Pentagon is now clearing its soldiers of any wrongdoing, but that leaves the 2 other cases where a pattern of military misconduct could still be established. The picture from Iraq is already bleak. It might get bleaker still.
A man has been shot by police in a huge anti-terrorism operation in East London. 250 police officers took part in the dawn raid, searching for a suspected chemical weapon. The 23-year-old who was shot is now under armed guard in hospital. His injuries are not life-threatening. The man and his 20-year-old brother, who are of Bangladeshi origins, have been arrested on terrorism charges. The hunt for a chemical device is continuing. It's taken 7 months, but tonight the Green Party has a new male co-leader to replace the late Rod Donald. Russell Norman may be unknown to most people, but he won the 4-way race, even beating one of the most colourful MPs in Parliament.
He's the new face of the Green Party, and while Russell Norman isn't an MP, he's received overwhelming support to become the Greens' new male co-leader.
We will stay united, we will stay strong, and we will stay focused.
Australian-born Norman is no political novice. The 39-year-old has a PhD in politics and worked as a Greens strategist before managing the party's election campaign last year. While that resulted in 3 less seats in Parliament, Norman's focus now is on rebuilding that support.
I think the first job is around party development, growing the party. It's also about being very focused and working with the caucus around our core messages.
Filling the shoes of the charismatic Rod Donald won't be easy.
And the last one is a modern version of the bicycle tyre in order to strap your cell phone to your head.
Rod did a great job as co-leader of the party. I've got to do it on my own terms.
It's always been about balance, having a male and a female, and I think having young and old is going to contribute to that balance.
So too is having a co-leader outside Parliament for the first time. List MP Nandor Tangshos missing out amid questions over his pro-cannabis image.
It's hard to know exactly what all the factors were, but my focus is on the choice that the party's made. I think Russell will be very good. He's very intelligent, he's very capable.
In choosing someone from outside Parliament, the Greens have found a compromise to the impossible task of truly replacing Rod Donald. Russell Norman may lack profile, but the party isn't looking to him for that. It's hoping his skills as a political organiser will help build membership and ultimately the Greens' share of the vote. Ben Tornquist, One News.
In just under an hour, a Christchurch woman will find out exactly how much bidders on the internet are willing to pay for her now famous handbag. It's the bag former All Black captain Tana Umaga used to hit a fellow Hurricane teammate Chris Masoi in a Christchurch bar, and it's been attracting some extreme bids on the Trade Me website.
It's one of our most famous catch cries, the money or the bag. After Nicole Davies realised she had a celebrity purse on her hands, the money for her $50 bag was the clear winner. Tana Umaga had picked up his weapon of choice and given teammate Chris Masoi a whack on the head after Masoi had punched a bar patron. He collected a $3,000 fine from rugby bosses. Umaga went unpunished as he was just bringing Masoi to heel. The sale on Trade Me has brought a media storm down on the Christchurch woman's head.
Compared to what I thought it would be like, it is completely out of control. Like, I thought I'd get a $600 bid tops and that it would all be over in 3 days. Now I'm just really glad I didn't put it on for a week.
The posting of the purse on Trade Me has brought a flood of crazy bids going right up to $100 million.
There hasn't been too much hysteria with it. I mean, people throwing it up to 100 million, people stop bidding, that gets taken off and it goes quite calm again. Like, it's been quite well controlled in the past 24 hours. There hasn't been too many nutters.
Trade Me staff have been flat out today weeding out the bogus bids, and a short time ago the highest genuine one was hovering around $21,000. The online auction company says those making stupid and exorbitant bids risk losing their membership. There's been a flood of messages on the Trade Me site, most of the good on you, go girl variety, and some observations about how stupid people can be with their money. And Nicole's plans for her windfall?
Well, until it's in my bank account, I'm just not even going to think about it because it's so much money, and until it appears, it's like it's someone else's life. Like, it's just like someone's paying huge money to me because I'm me, and it's just my bag's famous, the cute wee bag that it is. It's really, really odd. It's really odd.
John Stewart, One News.
Some well-known All Blacks have gone back to school in a bid to reduce the number of days children are away from classes. Something as simple as a raincoat can mean the difference between missing school on a wet day and a good education. Now a national campaign aims to change that with some good wet weather gear. The sun was shining, but at Weymouth Primary School they were getting ready for the rain.
These kids don't know what's going to happen. They're all going to get a raincoat from 3 very, very outstanding All Blacks.
We're going to hand everybody in the school a brand new raincoat.
This Auckland school is the first to be part of the Kids Can program, developed to support low decile schools. The trust is aiming to provide 10,000 raincoats to children by the end of the year.
Some of them don't have a lot at home, and we are hoping that by starting a program like this we can encourage increased attendance and pride.
Despite the sunshine, there was no keeping these coats off the kids.
It's nice and warm and good for rainy days. It's just like a normal All Blacks jacket, and it's really cool.
Have you got a raincoat at home?
No. Oh, well, I have, but I like this one.
But for the teaching staff, there were other reasons to get excited.
I've got several requests from my female staff to interview you.
And for one of these All Blacks, the visit was a humbling trip back to his old school.
In my years, we didn't have this hall. We used to meet up there in the tennis court, and the raincoats came in handy during that time.
It's a great sight to see the kids' eyes light up when they see their raincoats.
Now all they need is a forecast for showers.
That is lovely. How trendy was the principal? Little
Pretty
hat.
cool, but he didn't have a jacket. But
Yeah.
anyway, Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, interesting. This goes on and on to talk about the foot. Some good news for all you England fans. He's turned up with his football boots on, which, as I say, means he could take his part in the big event, the World Cup. Also tonight, though, the most bizarre league encounter you will ever see. It was like a game of soccer, not that Matty Johns cared.
This is the coalface. Rain pelting into my face. Walking off with these gladiators 0-0. Heaven.
Masculine. Plus, spot the groupies as the All Whites warm up for that second-rate footballing team. These guys here, I think they're called Brazil.
Dollar investment.
And how is this for a rugby backdrop as the locals pile in to watch New Zealand C, otherwise known as the Junior ABs, kickstart a new competition?
But coming up next, the row over a Taranaki speed sign that has locals scratching their heads. Medical researchers issue a warning about a common pain relief drug used by many Kiwis. And a Christchurch funeral marks the final chapter in the strange case of the poisoned professor.
For the very latest in gentlemen's weaponry.
It's walking stick sword. Handy when you're going out for an evening stroll and someone attacks you.
Walking stick shotguns, and the little cartridge goes in there, the little trigger's just under there, and you'd point it.
Look at the length of that one. What a beauty.
Auction House, Sunday on